When you know it, car finally broke right after I decided to put on new headlights. There's the VLANs or LED. New taillights as well. So my custom built one started falling apart. So literally did this, did the front, changed the oil, and then my dumbass made a mistake. Which I've done this twice on this car now. I left the oil cap off after topping it up. Like I filled it, ran it, it was good. And then I decided to check the level. It was like quarter low, so dumped half a quart in and I fucking left the oil cap off. So it slung oil all over the engine bay, which ironically I just cleaned out the bay because I had a leaking power steering reservoir. That got replaced. And then just completely covered everything, through my belt. And then because I threw the belt, it actually, I believe it hit the radiator. So lots of things went wrong at once. But now that I'm looking at it, yeah, you can see my radiator leaking down there. It might not have hit, maybe just because the belt threw and overheated, it was enough pressure to pop the radiator. I don't know, whatever. The radiator's done, so I got a Koyorad for it. So, step one. Let's move this bitch out of the way. Oh, forgot gloves again. Just clean my hands. So, step one. I have got to jack up the front end of the car. Because unfortunately, like everything else on this car, because the engine bay is so cramped. A little less cramped because I have a front mount intercooler, but it still makes getting to nearly everything a pain because basically no room to get around to anything. Like to do the accessory belt, you have to go through the wheel well because the tensioner is at the back, right behind there, down low. Anyways, but gotta completely disassemble the front end, and on this car you can't just slip the radiator out through here. You know, if you take the fans, everything else out, it's still got to come out because this piece holds it in, which runs the front of the car. So you literally have to take apart the whole front end to get the radiator on this car out. Lots of fun. So start that process. Jack the car up. I'm just gonna set it on my ramps so that'll be high enough. Alright, now I'm gonna start pulling everything. I'm actually, since these are brand new headlights, I'm going to tape them up first, just in case I bump the lenses with something. Don't want to scratch up my brand new headlights. So let's do that first before I pull any of the front end. Alright, good enough. Gotta trim those edges out. I'll do that when I actually pull the headlights, but for now, keep them lenses from getting scratched up. Alright, bumpers off. Saying how to, so I'm not going to show you how to pull it, but there's tons of videos on that. As you can see, I'm spatially challenged in my garage. It's pretty cramped, so I'm just gonna have to put the bumper on top of my roof, which not so much that I'm worried about scratching anything. The paint on this car is not great, and I bought it with a rough body, so that's one of the things that I'm gonna be doing, and one of the things I'd planned before this happened. I'd already started ordering stuff, but needs a lot of body work everywhere. Anyways, bumper's pulled. Now I just got to pull the lights, then the intercooler, then the crash bar, then the upper, and that should get us to where we can start pulling the radiator out. So one really cool feature about these VLAN headlights though that I like is at least the Speed 6, I don't know about the regular Mazda 6, but it has a programmable, well, adjustable headlight level, and these headlights are chain that. There's a switch on the dashboard that allows you to go from 3 different positions of your headlights. I need to get those aligned right as far as up and down because they're definitely way too low, but I tested out the up and down and it works. So the VLANs retain that with the Mazdaspeed 6, which is cool. Alright, so headlights are out. I think I need to remove, well, definitely the intercooler. And I think I also need to remove the bumper support or crash bar first, because all that's got to come off, and then I can remove that and should be able to get the radiator out. Let me double check the order, but I'm pretty sure I got to pull the entire crash bar off to get the support out. So I've actually got my intercooler piping routed a lot different than most Speed 6s. A lot of them still comes down on this side, which sucks because you lose your windshield washer reservoir if you do it this way. Actually, I'm going to see if I can figure out another way to route this, since I'm going to have to take it apart anyways. Maybe I might be able to squeeze it in there, but anyways, usually they just come up and diagonally across the motor. I've got mine with these weird bends. I just bought like a universal kit and kind of pieced some stuff together with couplers. But since I'm going to be pulling most of my piping out, I'll see if I can come up with an alternative way to route this. Yeah, I kind of had to wheel this out. When I originally did this, I actually shoved this pipe pretty far into here, so getting this out of the coupler right now, I don't want to mess with. I'll do it later when I decide on rerouting, but this is my setup on the left side, the hot side of the intercooler, or sorry, cold side actually. But what is that? I guess it's kind of like a 45, which I think these blue couplers were the ones that came on the car. It had a CX Racing piping kit, and I kind of smashed together some different piping. I guess this pipe also came on the car, I don't remember, but most of my stuff is just done with these 45-degree couplers. That's how I got that angle to make it come down and kick over. And then I've got a 45 up here. That's the stock turbo inlet hose with the CX kit. I've got a 90 here. And then I've actually got another spare 45, I believe, as well. But as far as what's actually installed, it's a couple 45s and then two 90s. Alright, crush bar's off. Got it out of the way. Now I just need to undo this whole mess. Should just be a few bolts. And pull the core support off. And then I can finally get to the radiator. I've also got all new hoses. I replaced the upper and lower hoses on this car maybe 2-3 years ago. So these hoses are fine, but I bought the full kit. So I'm going to be replacing all the hoses while I have this apart and have easier access. Alright, got the radiator out. Wasn't too bad. It just took me a while. I was taking my time, making sure I was doing everything right, because I didn't want to, well, ironically, it's because I had to be careful because the evaporator sits right in front of the radiator attached to it. But I'm probably going to end up draining and disconnecting it anyways. I've got manifold gauge set. I can redo the AC system, but I'm actually highly surprised that this is the OEM radiator. I was half thinking it would be an aftermarket one, but it is the original Denso. So, I mean, it's plastic tanks. They all fail eventually, which is why I've got the Koyorad over there. So, it was, I mean, I didn't search a whole lot, but I'm sure the, when I looked up to get the actual OEM one for this car was like $350. Koyorad was like a little over $400. So, this Koyorad will never break unless something hits it. But anyways, I'm not even going to be unboxing the radiator, putting it in today. I've still got to start doing all the hoses and everything. So I bought a full replacement kit for every coolant hose in the bay, or should be majority of them. So I got to start pulling hoses and swapping those. The main ones that are going to be a pain are the heater core and all that, which I think that's one of them. A bunch of the hoses run, or actually I guess just a couple hoses run to this. Actually, this one's gonna get replaced. I think this one ties into the oil cooler, maybe? I don't know. I'll have to look. But anyways, so I'm gonna go through do all my hoses now while I've got good access. I may get away with not having to drain this, but I'm scared about hitting it with something while I'm working back here. So anyways, I'll come back with an update once I start installing hoses.